Hi, welcome in. I'm just kind of getting settled. Thank you for being here. Happy Halloween. Happy Halloween. I love this time of year. Happy Halloween. Oops. I love this time of year. Turn that down. Got my little setup going. Sometimes when you're dealing with a small space like this, can be challenging to get everything going and without forgetting all of your little steps that you want to take. So yeah, thank you again for being here. I'm looking forward to the layout today and just a little bit of sharing too. There's certainly no pressure to share, but I wanted to invite people as they come into this reading to share stories in the chat from their own, maybe stories that they heard from their grandparents about their ancestors, any ways that you may have had a passed over loved one show up in a dream and speak to you, stories about, sometimes I worked in hospice for many years as a social worker and as a volunteer. And a lot of times you'll hear people see their loved one that is there to help them cross over, right? And you'll be making your visit and sitting with someone on their deathbed and they'll say, my grandmother's here. She's, can't you see her or something like that? So any story like that you would like to share in the chat, I welcome it and I'll read it aloud, right? So that we can all kind of share in these kinds of memories. I find them really comforting and I love this kind of storytelling. So I brought the 3 memories that came through for me that were sort of inspired that I wanted to share from my own ancestors and passed over loved ones that are my contemporaries, right? And then do some obsidian mirror scrying because the veil is so thin right now. It's going to be a great time to scry. I haven't eaten yet this morning because often when you're scrying, fasting really helps you. If you're somebody that's interested in scrying and developing your own skills with divination, fasting often helps, right? You need to be smart about it and medically wise about something like fasting. But this morning I've only had fluids and things because I knew I wanted to really make sure my third eye was open wide and clear so that I would have clear things coming through my scrying session through the obsidian mirror, and then I'll have my lunch or whatever after this live is done. I also brought a little bit of mugwort to burn to help us get clear vision for this channeled reading, right? And so I saw that someone showed up in the chat. Thank you for being here. Let me just say hi. Hi, Jason. Nice to see you. Thank you for being here. And like I was just saying, if you care to share anything, I would love it. Any memories from passed over loved ones, grandparents, ancestors, anything. I'm going to share the 3 that came through for me that are stories that I like to share from my own family line. Maybe I'll just go ahead and do that to get us started. The other thing too that came through for me, in fact, actually that's where I'll start, because I had some channeled messages that came through, starting with a dream I had last night. And then this morning, as I was kind of going into these memories, they all kind of came together. So that's where I'll start. I had a dream sometime in the morning where I was just devouring a hamburger, like this huge hamburger, like the kind that you might get at a pub that's just huge and stacked and like hard to eat almost because they're so big. And that is all the dream was. I was famished and I was trying to just go to town, huge burger, right? And so when I woke up, I was kind of laughing, like, what a weird dream. Am I hungry? Like, am I horny? Like, what is it? What is that dream about? Well, then as my morning went on, I was remembering like how I want to set up my altar. I put this pomegranate out here. Pomegranate and pomegranate seeds are a divine feminine symbol. They're a symbol of fertility and abundance. And I wanted to invite that into the space. And also to leave on my altar for ancestors to come take a little bite, right? Get some nourishment from these things. And so nourishment is what started coming through. I was like, okay, that's right. You want to be making sure that you're nourishing your ancestors as they visit. So that's still where my mind was going. And then my memories that were coming through from my own family line is a memory that I have where I was visited by my crossed over nephew, who crossed over traumatically and tragically too early in life. He was only 27, and it was a real devastation for our family. And so I have a really wonderful and cherished memory. It was about 2 years after he passed, and I was in the grocery store, and I was already on this path of doing sort of hedge witching, esotericism, divination work. I was early in my journey with that, but I was there. I was on the path, doing my work, learning, figuring out the things like in my ancestral line, right? And so I was at the grocery store, and part of my practice had been like, I want to start cooking from scratch. I want to start doing more like healing through food and kitchen magic and things like that. So I was really cooking a lot for myself at that time, and I still do. But it was a new behavior for me, and I was feeling a little bit overwhelmed and kind of a perfectionist about it. Like any food that was made it for people to have convenience, right? Like a frozen meal or something, I was really turning away from. But it was a big change in my life where I wasn't allowing myself any food convenience. Like I was just cooking for myself totally and holding my standard. And I was standing in the grocery store looking at this product, and this product is a problem, sort of like Aunt Jemima brand is a problem, is Uncle Ben's. And I was looking at this display case of Uncle Ben's rice bowls. It was like this new thing that Uncle Ben's Rice was creating to try to get more customers. And I was thinking, those look really good. I was standing there looking at those and being like, they look healthy, those look really good. But I was embarrassed that I was thinking about buying them, because I know I can go home and make something just like this from scratch and it would be even better. So I was all like really judging myself and being ashamed. And all of a sudden, it's like my nephew's spirit was with me, because my nephew was a chef, a trained cordon bleu chef, and amazing. And we cooked some holiday meals together, and those are great memories for me. And he came through and he was teasing me about wanting to buy this Uncle Ben's rice bowl. And he was kind of making fun of me but then it was gentle and it was with love. And he was sending me the message, and I just felt it all at once from him. In the middle of the grocery store, I practically started crying, except I was laughing. And it was him teasing me and making fun of me for wanting to buy these Uncle Ben's rice bowls. But then it was also him saying, lighten up, Aunt Cynthia, like give yourself a break. If you need some easier things, it's okay. Like just breathe. You don't have to be perfect at doing the healthy things, right? Or it was just a reminder. And then there was another story around that, because he was a chef, where I think it was my sister that had gone to a medium and was wanting to know if he was okay, his mom. And he had said through this medium that he is okay. And she was like, well, what do you do there? What are you doing on the other side? Like, I'm curious about it. What's it like? And he was like, I'm cooking. It was either me or my sister. I don't remember now, because this was a long time ago. But he was like, I'm here cooking. We're enjoying making meals together and sitting together. And we thought, whoa, it was a lot. We shared and like being amazed by that food is a thing on the other side. And like, but of course, that's why you leave food out for your ancestors, right? So, and then it got me this morning again, thinking about the themes of the ancestral table and the biblical scripture, which says, thou preparest a table before my enemies, my cup runneth over, right? So there's a scripture about that about vindication, about being uplifted even in our darkest moments. Okay, so something about that is in play. And then it came through raging this morning when I checked the news about SNAP food benefits being eliminated or cut severely by the federal government, and the food crisis that is creating. And it all came into focus. And I was like, that's why I'm supposed to be talking about food, because we're in a food crisis in the US, especially rural communities. And I live in a rural community. And it was just a reminder to me, because one of the things that I love to do is cook. And it's one of my ways of showing love, just like it was for my nephew. And so the channeled message was like, that's something you can do. If food is a thing for you, if you love to cook for people with less than you right now, right? It's a simple act. It's a simple kindness. It's a simple gesture. And I'm just meant to share that from whatever, maybe my ancestral table or from the collective's ancestral table, that they're concerned for hunger and for food and for vulnerable people that don't have the money for food. People that just started going to food banks, that never had to go to food banks because rent is getting so high and because wages are getting lower, right? That now all of a sudden SNAP benefits are eliminated for millions of people. This is the danger that we're facing. And so that's why all of those messages about food and about feeding our ancestors and about, oh, I forgot my gourd. It's over on my Aoife, my pumpkin. But anyways, enough of that. So maybe what I'll do now is, oh, I've got some folks in here. Hi, Jason. Hi, Danny, or Dinosaur. I love that you're here and commenting. Thank you for being here. So what I'll do now is get into two more things that I wanted to talk about here. This is something I just wanted to share, and it's from my grandmother. I recently got all of my grandmother's jewelry, and this is a cameo that she had that I love, that I wanted to put on for the day to honor her memory. My grandmother, she had an amazing jewelry collection, and this is beadwork that she has, that she's always had. She always had this ever since I can remember. I'm not indigenous. I'm not claiming this as my ancestral line, but this is indigenous from my region. It represents the Thunderbird. It's an incredible example of beautiful beadwork of the Thunderbird. I remember this vividly from my childhood. I was a little girl, and I would look at this Thunderbird and wonder about it and be amazed by it. And now I'm fortunate that I have this, that I inherited these. And this is very beautiful beadwork. The Thunderbird is a being that watches over this region of Turtle Island, okay? So I'm just honoring that here when we're speaking of ancestors. I live on the ancestral line of the Chinook, the ancestral lands, I'm saying. And then one last thing, when we're speaking about ancestors, because I live on stolen land, one of my ancestors is a settler or colonizer, but all of them really. But his name was Valentine Vogel. He's my great grandfather on my dad's side, and he came over from what's now Ukraine, near the Black Sea. Germans from Russia is a lot of my ancestors are Germans from Russia, and that's a whole story I won't get into. But this is when, because sometimes you'll have experiences of ancestors that weren't good people. And a lot of settler colonial people have that, ancestors that owned other people and enslaved them, right? Or things like that you have to try to get clear on for yourself, right? Like, how do I feel about these things? Well, my great-grandfather Vogel was a man like that. He was a very violent, abusive alcoholic. He was a violent drunk. He was very mean. He created a legacy of abuse in my dad's family. And one of the things he did, because he had such a bad temper, at some point when he was here, he was already in the US, and he bought a horse team, really cheap, and he thought this horse team was just beautiful. They were these pure white horses, and he was like, wow, I'm really getting away with something here. I'm buying these horses. What a fool that nobody else started buying these. This is a beautiful, he was very proud of them, right? This horse team. And what he didn't realize was that the horses were horses that had been trained to respond to fires, like fire bells and things like that. And so they were used by early firefighters, okay? And so he buys this horse team, doesn't realize that, and is out one day with them, and the bells go off, and the horse team took off running because that's what they were trained to do, and he couldn't get control of them. And he became so angry at them and that he couldn't stop his carriage, that he started whipping the horses because he was so mad. And so that made it even worse. And then they were running even harder and running even harder. And he drove them straight into a pole because he was mad at them. But what ended up happening is that right as they were going to drive straight into a pole, they split, right? And the whatever the mechanism is that held them harnessed to the carriage bashed into the pole. And I hope those horses were not hurt. I don't know that part of the story, but I do know that it threw my grandfather out of the carriage. And it's like an example of his rage only ending up hurting himself. I hope his horses weren't hurt. But that's a story of an ancestor where you might have to do some healing around having a mean or toxic ancestor in your lineage as well. Not all ancestors were good, right? And so what do you do when you have part of that in your ancestral line? Well, you can do a lot of things. Like you can work with ancestral healers and shamanic practitioners to do maybe things like soul retrieval to help heal your ancestral line. Or you can work with a therapist, like a therapist that uses internal family systems like I do, IFS therapy. You can do ancestral unburdening techniques in therapy that people find very powerful. So there's a lot of ways to make your peace with an ancestor that was maybe a bad person, right? And that's impacting your energy today. So I guess what I'll do now is get into cards. I don't have any, it looks like I don't have anyone sharing in the chat or wanting me to share about memories. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. My goodness. I don't know if I say Louise or Lois, but thank you for sharing. I'm very sorry. And I'm sending up memory and honoring them. Honoring them. Remembering the people that suffered in the residential schools on these stolen lands. Thank you for saying their story in the chat. Thank you. Just smudge here. This has sage. It has anise hyssop, indigenous people on Turtle Island for healing. Cinnamon. It has oak moss of smudging. I can't remember offhand. Lemon balm. Fears. Thank you. And I'm sending this smoke to you. I'm very sorry. And I hope their souls are at rest. And now I'm going to pull some more cards here and burn some more hyssop and we'll get going. And then I'm going to do some obsidian mirror scrying as well for this spooky season. What do we need to know from the other side of the veil? What's going to be helpful to know from the other side of the veil? Hi, Verity. Thank you for being here. I'm sorry I didn't say your name. Thank you for being here. And thank you for sharing my post on Blue Sky. I always love seeing you there. What do we need to know? What are the messages from beyond the veil? So we have a Page of Swords on the split, which is interesting. It strikes me as there may be things to learn, and we're being asked to kind of gather around the fire and listen in a way. That's kind of the energy that I'm picking up from this, because the pages can often mean sort of novice learning, right? Being in a novice state. And I feel like we're being witnessed. If we're going to be getting messages from the other side of the veil, we're being witnessed by them in this energy that they'd like us to gather around and listen. I really like that. Healing in the cornerstone, temperance, the angel, temperance isn't considered an angelic figure. So I love that the angels are gathering too, right? I'm someone that has a relationship with angels. And I'll name this deck again. I haven't used it in a while. This is a deck by a known artist in the US. Her name is B. Nettles. She's the first tarot artist and creator in the world that made collage-based tarot. She made this deck in the 60s, I believe, and she just mentioned recently on her Instagram that there's an academic course being taught at Yale right now on tarot, and they feature her deck because she's a fine artist. She's a printmaker. And B. Nettles, if you're a tarot reader, you can't buy her deck wherever, right? Because she's a fine artist. You have to go to her website to buy her deck. But it's B. Nettles, and I highly recommend it. It's a beautiful deck. I got to see her speak once in my printmaking class, and it was really cool. So we're here with the angels being witnessed. There's a lot of illusion present, and we're being reminded of that here with this lunar card in the center of the reading. It's at the very heart of things. This very energy, the obsidian mirror, the dark moon, the dark sky beyond the veil. But the reason that this lunar card, the moon card, came in the reverse is because somehow through this layout we're receiving truth, okay, because the moon card is in the reverse. So they're wanting to speak some truths here is what I'm picking up. And it's truths about the heart. There's vulnerability in our shadow sides of us right now, and the water element is being reflected, that there's maybe a sense of vulnerability emotionally because of masculine power. There's this Emperor card is in the upright, though. The Emperor card represents masculine power, but he's in the upright here. But there's a lot of vulnerability and confusion about masculine power. That's what's coming through here. And a feeling of devastation and betrayal and being forced to surrender, okay? But the truth is being revealed. The truth is being revealed here about toxic masculinity, okay? About a King of Swords in the reverse, in the fax position. So this could be somebody like Donald Trump or Adolf Hitler, okay, right? It's like the epitome of toxic masculinity. It's here in the fax position, and it may be creating an atmosphere of feeling like we can't create that we want. We may be feeling blocked in our work. The Temperance Angel is here, though, so we're being witnessed again by this. That's what I'm asking for, so I'm just going to repeat that because that's what to help us stay grounded in this message. This is a message from beyond the veil, right? Particularly, they always are. That's what tarot is, right? But anyways, let me just keep going here. Where things are headed is the Nine of Cups, and so that's a joyful sign. It's a positive omen. We're being maybe encouraged here not to give up hope and not to give up faith because we feel defeated or we feel violated, and we have been defeated and violated and starved and imprisoned, right? There's been a lot of harm caused by the powers that be over the last millennia, okay? It's not just, we're not the only people that have lived through these kinds of horrific times, the people that are contemporaries on the planet. Our ancestors have lived through this and worse, right? So the fact that things are headed in a positive direction in spite of our fears, I feel like this is encouraging. In spite of this toxic king, this king in the reverse, this king that is not connected to truth, not connected to reason, connected to abusing power, forcing people to bend to his will, right? Trying to create illusion. Well, he's not succeeding. That's what this is saying. And if it's not global, it's personal. This is your personal Trump, right? Or your personal Hitler in your life. Your personal abuser is what we're talking about if it's not a global message for you. So what about this Nine of Cups and where the energy is heading? The Nine of Cups, please. Partying is coming through. There's some covetous people possibly around you, like family or a group. And it's interesting because this Queen of Pentacles card is B. Nettles. She made the Queen of Pentacles herself. This is a self-portrait. I need a little bit more for this. Let me get clarity on this, because there's a quality to this Nine of Cups that's kind of slightly disturbing. And then when the Three of Cups came in the reverse and this Five of Cups, it's like, okay, yeah, something's up for you in this collective. I feel like this Queen of Pentacles is representing the collective right now, whether you're masculine or feminine. And it's important to know that there's truth and that there's an upright Emperor here. So it's not all warning. What is the Nine of Cups caution that we're being shown, though? The Nine of Cups can indicate being two in your cups. It's in the upright, but it can indicate like overindulgence, addiction, right? You would more want to see that in the reverse if you were going to give it that interpretation. But there is, I mean, I felt it right away that there was a little bit of a caution or a threat of something negative running through the energy of that card. So now I'm Six of Wands on the split. So there are positive relations present, but there's also some concern. It might be that there's a sorting out of who's who. We got Temperance in the reverse right underneath that, and we have Temperance in the cornerstone. So it's like a mirroring, but it's almost like when I'm feeling like a channeled mirroring that's lateral, like lateral aggression. I don't know if you know that term, but it's like where people who have the same lack of power aggress at each other rather than punch up towards the people that are oppressing them. So there's something about mirroring of lateral aggression going on with where this energy is headed. So maybe we're being warned, like the people that are in our level, right, that we are connected to laterally or horizontally, or however you want to describe that energy, they're not our enemies. And maybe that's what this is saying. Okay, let me just pull. Yeah, work in the upright, work in the reverse. There's definitely mirror energy happening here. What is this saying? Nine of Cups, clarity, please. Dude, this is beautiful. Ace of Swords in the reverse, Ace of Swords upright. Temperance in the upright, Temperance in the reverse. Eight of Pentacles in the reverse, Eight of Pentacles in the upright. There's a lot of mirroring, but again, what I'm seeing is not the as above, so below mirroring that we're talking about sacred divinity and its relationship to the earth plane. It's laterally. It's a lateral energy that they're talking to us about here. It's so interesting. Thank you, Spirit. What else do we need to know? I'm going to pull deck in honor of Halloween and scary movies. What is this that you're telling us about? We need to watch out and form our alliances and avoid working in a laterally aggressive way. So don't aggress against people who are like us. Okay, so if we're speaking globally again, somebody like Fred Hampton taught us about that. And if it's more in our personal lives and friend groups and whatever, it's like, remember our friends and our other people that we have in our lives, we're trying to make sure we don't treat them badly because we're stressed out and worried about the state of the world, right? Like we got to remember not to lash out at the people around us, but punch up, right? Something like that. What else do we need to know, Spirit? Or like, let's say you're in a toxic relationship, a toxic love relationship. What you'd be being warned about in that case is don't turn your friends away, because even though your friends may be critical of your partner and that's uncomfortable for you, it's because they love you, right? So it's something like, don't reject people that are concerned for you because they have something bad to say about your abuser or something. You know what I mean? Like there's stuff like that. It's just, we got to remember who's for us, and that's the message coming through. Yeah. Celebration, you can't make it up. This is exactly from Carrie. That's the world that Carrie was in the story of Carrie by Stephen King. She was trying to find her way. She's in high school. She's trying to find the people that are truly genuine, that really want to be her friend, and then the people who are mocking her, right? And we all know how that ended, okay? If you've never seen Carrie, maybe I'll watch that tonight. And I'm talking the classic Carrie with Sissy Spacek. I've never even seen the remakes because Sissy Spacek is so amazing in that role that it's all I want to watch. Maybe I'll watch that and The Shining and honor the two queens of horror, Shelley Duvall and Sissy Spacek in Carrie. Those are two amazing roles. And this is what it's saying here. Use discernment about who's for you and who's against you. Don't get caught in the prom where you're made the butt of the joke, okay? And I mean, although, let's just say this, ultimately, who had the last laugh? I don't think she was laughing, but Carrie did, okay? Those people regretted fucking with her the way that they did by the end. She took them to school. Dreams in the upright from Nightmare on Elm Street. So this is also something that we need to be thinking about, is protecting our dream space. Like when I had that dream this morning, or when I woke up and was like, whoa, that was a weird dream, I had to think for a minute, was that, because often if someone's trying to enter your dream space and feed you something, it's a spell. And so when I woke up, I had a moment of like alarm for a second of like, oh my God, who gave me that hamburger in that dream? What was that? And I remembered, nobody. It wasn't a spell. It was just a dream that meant something else. But that's why it's here in the upright, is remember to protect yourself in your dream space. Smudge your sleeping area, right? Or put something like holly or thistles or garlic or something in where you lay your head at night, so that your third eye and your crown are protected and people can't go into your dreams using like journeying and things, astral travel and whatnot, to enter your dreams. The Call, and this is from Scream. And so it's the scene with Drew Barrymore where she's losing her shit because she's finally realizing that the call's coming from inside the house, okay? So going within, taking care of our own communities, our own families, our own ancestral healing. We can't be good for anybody else, right? If we're going around unhealed, that's a good message. The other side here. I don't think I really need to pull any more on this topic now. I think the message is kind of out here loud and clear. I'm going to pull some Loteria cards to honor Dia de los Muertos mañana. Tell us more about celebration dreams and the call. The call's coming from inside the house. You might be finding at times that you feel violated in your dream space. And you may be going through a process of trying to sort out who you can trust in this world. Either, you know, fit it how it fits your situation, either personally or on a more communal and community and global level, right? Tell us more, Spirit, about celebration, dreams, and Scream. Nightmare on Elm Street, Scream, and Carrie. So it's interesting because with Carrie here, the two cards that clarified it are the crown in the reverse, and Carrie was crowned the queen, right, of that dance, prom queen or homecoming queen, I don't remember which. And here's her crown in the reverse because it was fake, right? It was a big joke that everybody was in on, and it was devastating for her. This talks about the abundance and the beauty and the positive things that are here for us in the upright with these. See, this is like this fertility and abundance energy with the pomegranate and the seeds here. This is coming through as like, this is also a symbol of Palestine, okay? So this is sort of like, you can make it global, like stuff is being overthrown, but it's not, you know, we're in the battle right now, right? With brutality and darkness and bad actors committing horrible acts and things like that, right? But there's things in the upright that are here for us. Fertility, abundance, the seeds of a new future. Carrie burned it to the ground, but she ultimately prevailed, okay? So it wasn't an easy journey. That was a traumatic thing. I don't know what that's about. I'm just going to try to say what's coming through here. I don't know what it's about. It'll mean maybe what you need it to mean for you. In Nightmare on Elm Street, with the dream space that we're entering, you may have felt like there was a dark masculine, King of Swords in the reverse, dark masculine energy that might have been infiltrating your dreams, and I've talked about black magic being carried out against me in my dream space, and I told those stories in other readings, so I'm not going to tell them again, but it happened to me, and there were things being given to me in my dream space, right? This is what that's saying, is that for some of you, you might be feeling that someone's entering your dream space and they're practicing darkness against you. So protect your dream space, protect your third eye, protect your crown. Do something to protect your sleeping area, right? That's advice from the other side. And then with Scream, this is kind of interesting because we've got a soldier here and a fish here, which can mean bounty, abundance, gossip, talk. It can be a symbol of Jesus, right? There's a lot of things that a fish can mean. It's a very powerful symbol, a fish, and is a soldier. And so to me, when I say, tell me more about Scream and going within and the calls coming from inside the house, it's like we have to watch out for our own inner cop, okay? It's not our job to go policing other people and we have to even kill the cop in our own head, okay? That's the advice that I'm hearing about this. When it comes to things like spirituality, like what is someone else's spiritual path? What is someone else's path for liberation and justice? Maybe for them, it's not being in the street, okay? There's a lot of judgment, even in the left, about how to go about this kind of thing, right? So those are sort of the channeled messages that I'm feeling from this. So I think, are there any does anyone have any personal things that they need to find out? Thank you, Verity. I'm glad to hear that. Thank you for sharing that this is resonating. Thank you. Who are the people or powers that we're being cautioned against here? There's mirroring happening, so there's illusion happening. And we're being warned with the truth here about that illusion. That illusion is present. That, you know, the people that were presenting themselves to carry us for friends, that was an illusion, right? They weren't her friends. They were tricking her. And so I was in a live stream earlier from a true crime creator. She has a second channel that's more just for, you know, topics she wants to talk about. And she's been calling out the true crime chaos in YouTube. And I won't go into it all here, maybe in another reading. But she was talking about, I kind of lost where I was going with that. Sorry. I wish I didn't lose where I was going with that. Oh, just the people that smile in your face while they're stabbing you in the back, right? Okay. Kay Woodcock's daughter, Crusha, was describing feeling like that in the early days of her family's criminal tragedy that she was facing and trauma, and all of these true crime podcasters and whatever just circling them like sharks and like vultures for their family tragedy. It's very disturbing when you hear her describe what it felt like. And so this is that kind of thing. Smiling faces, sometimes they don't tell the truth, right? It's that. This is that energy we're being warned about, to watch out for the fakes, for people that smile in your face while they're stabbing you in the back. Is this the warning spirit? Is this what we're talking about? Whether that's through other spiritualists, whether it's through power abusers in systems of government and finance, whether it's a personal familial abuser like an abusive father or a mother or a partner, right? Even a child. Sometimes adults get abused by their adult children, right? It could be anything. What are we being warned about? Yeah, it's repeating itself now. So the message is fairly clear. We're being warned about going down the wrong road and listening to the wrong people and not allowing our process of change and metamorphosis to occur in our own lives, whether that's global or personal. And it may mean letting some things fall that we don't want to let fall, but we're not always the ones in control, okay? It's just is what it is. I realize that's a sort of a controversial thing to say at points, but I'm going to go ahead now and pull a couple of my cards to wrap up the card layout, and then I'll do some scrying and that'll be it. Any final messages, Spirit? Thank you for tuning in. Thank you so much for being here and for liking and subscribing my channel. If you like my work, that would be awesome. I think I have anything else to say about that. How does your inner warrior perceive surrender, right? Get your house in order. Cleanse your space. Clear out clutter. So that's good advice for keeping your vision clear, is to keep the clutter out of your life. Clutter of other people's shit that isn't yours. Clutter of chaos that doesn't make you uplifted, right? Clutter in your home even. Dust, dust devils, dirt devil, things like that. When you do that kind of cleansing, it really cleanses your mental faculties and energy, right? And surrender what we can and can't control. We're not God. We can't control what Donald Trump is doing right now. We can just try to mitigate the damage, right? By supporting one another. You can't make it up. Each other laugh, medicine of laughter, remembering to keep our sense of humor. This all an absurd, it's almost like the absurdist movement, the Dadaist movement in art. It's like, it's so fucking absurd at some point. It's such a circus of life that there is absurdity in it to be laughed at. And I'm not saying all the time, of course not. I'm a human being with a heart. I see what's happening in Gaza. I'm not saying that's funny and absurd, of course not. But there's a dark side and light side to living. And Kresha said this too. Kresha, the person I mentioned from this crime case that has been unfolding over many years, in her video, she was joking around at one point and she was like, please don't get me wrong here. I'm not making, she said that in front of this tragedy. There's nothing funny about it, but you have to laugh or you're going to go insane. And that's what this is meaning, medicine of laughter, right? So now I'm just going to go ahead and open up the mirror and do a little bit of scrying and then close this out. And once again, thank you so much for being here. And be safe tonight trick-or-treating. If you're going trick-or-treating, be safe. Make sure when you lay your head down tonight to go to sleep that you've done something to protect your sleeping space and your dream space, right? So this is just going to open this mirror. Rain. I'm seeing lots and lots of rain, like thunderous rain. Oh my God, So I just felt, I don't know how else to say this. I'm going to try to capture it. I'm so sorry. The ocean in Jamaica. I don't even know how I didn't remember to bring that up, but I just saw it in the mirror. The mirror reminded me. let's stop what we're doing and pray for the prophets and the healers and the people that are in Alaska and in Jamaica that are trying to recover from that devastation of those waves and that power of the ocean. I'm so sorry. Thank you, Spirit, for that reminder. Ghosts hovering around the mirror. Lots of ancestors present. Lots of nose. His Eyes on the Sparrow is a song coming through. That's a traditional hymn that's very beautiful. I'm not a Christian. I wasn't raised in the church. I mean, I guess I'm sort of a Christian. I believe in the Bible. I believe in Jesus and all that. I believe in other things too, though. So that's where I branch off from Christianity. But His Eye is on the Sparrow is a very beautiful traditional hymn from the U.S., I believe. Maybe from from Black spiritualism. I'm not sure. But that's a very beautiful, maybe comforting song for someone right now. Or there's messages in that song for us. Oh my God, from the avians. I keep having avian experiences. And maybe Sparrow is now coming through. That's another song by Nico Case. Music. Laughter. Prisms. I'm seeing a lot of prisms. Shining through prisms and refracted light. Is that what that is? Structural color came through recently about how some color isn't pigment but structural. I'm seeing like a window and a window and a window and a window, almost like when two mirrors are facing one another. We're being shown one another or something. I don't know what that is, that lateral mirror work, lateral reflection. When you gaze into an obsidian mirror and you're gazing laterally, it's called hummingbird vision. So that must be what's coming through here, is hummingbird vision. We're being guided to use hummingbird vision. Gaze laterally. Gaze into situations laterally right now. There's a story coming through from my grandmother Schneider that I forgot about, that I was going to tell, that I forgot about, and now it's coming through the mirror. So I'm not supposed to forget to tell the story. And my grandmother's passed on. My mom's mom. And she told me a story because one day I asked her when I was younger visiting her in Spokane, and I asked her, I used to love to ask people this question. And I said, what's your earliest memory? What's the first thing that you remember in your life? And she was so happy that I asked her. And she said, oh my goodness, Cindy, that's such a great memory. Thank you for asking. And she said, I've never known whether it was a memory or something I made up in my mind. But she said, I think she had a sibling that died. Either that or it was like a cousin, a little girl that was close to her age or younger. And she was very little. She was only like 3 or 4 when this happened. And she was talking to her mother about the death. My great-grandmother, it would have been. And she was saying, what happened? Why? Where did they go? Where are they now? And she was telling me that her mom was telling her, well, she's gone up to heaven and she'll be watching over us with the angels from heaven. And my grandmother said that as my great-grandmother was telling her that, in her mind's eye, she saw this little girl climbing what you would now name Jacob's ladder, which is the stairway or the ladder to heaven, right? And my grandmother was picturing this little girl's angel spirit walking up the steps to heaven, and they were made out of clouds. And I think that is such a beautiful little memory, that she shared, and she shared it with me, and she said, I don't know if I made that up in my mind or if someone told me that that's what it was like, that it was a cloud of stairs to the heaven. She was like, I don't know where it came from, but it's her earliest memory. And it's coming through here. Maybe Jacob's ladder has relevance for someone. Yeah, blue avians, blue lights, blue is coming through. Truth. Star and stellar races. And a big beam of... Yeah, and I'm seeing like a maypole, which is funny because that's not this time of year, that's spring. But it's showing me our heart as like the world tree, that it's our heart. And there's spirits doing a maypole around our heart. That's what it's showing. Wow. Jar of flies is coming through. I think that might be, well, that definitely to me means spell work. But there's something also about, I feel like there's a song from the 90s or an album. I don't know if it's Flies in the Vaseline or Jar of Flies. Maybe that's Alice in Chains or something. I don't know what that is. There's some reference there for somebody that's going to have meaning. Maybe just that this is a reading that has significance for them. La Llorona is coming through. That is a being that will cry in the night, which has a lot of lore around that. When you hear wailing and crying in the night in the moors and in the woods, it's usually a warning for people to stay away, right? And La Llorona is her. That's her. She had her children stolen, and then she cries in the night looking for her children. And the lore is always that to warn children away from La Llorona, that she might take you if you're not careful, right? There's a lot of story like that. Herkimer diamonds are coming through. Those might have spiritual meaning for someone. Lots of that type of prismic, I don't know, sacred geometry. The hand of Fatima is coming through for protection. I'm seeing a hand around a throat, so make sure you're clearing your throat chakra. Laughter is great for that. And don't, illusion is clearing away. So I'm seeing like a face with, it might be, it's my face, but what it's showing me is like a distortion, like blindfolds on it. So just know that the truth is coming, clarity's coming. If it's eluding you right now, it's coming. It may have come to you through this reading, or it might come to you later, like through a dream. So just hang on for the clarity that you feel like has been eluding you. Anything else, Spirit, before I close this? Okay, so I'm seeing a skull, myself like a skull, sky burial, vultures, things having to do with death and rebirth. This is all just the cycle, right? It's all just sort of normalizing that, as the feeling that it's giving me is like it's not to be feared. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close this out because I'm starting to get kind of tired. I feel like I could scry forever here. The serpent, I'm seeing the serpent, like the serpent, the feathered serpent we're talking about, like not the serpent interpreted as a devil or a demon. It's the serpent of the tree of knowledge. The serpent, I know people attribute bad characteristics to that, but we're talking about like the rainbow serpent, the serpent of creation, the serpent of life, the serpent emplumado, right? So let's just, I'm just gonna close that. So I can kind of feel this wrapping up quickly, like the energy is starting to sort of leave, like I might need to go take a nap or something. Like I don't know what that is, but it feels a little intense. So I'm just going to pull one more card. We'll do this for just a final message. What's a final message from Spirit for us? And thank you again so much for being here. The Frog and Lotus, so transformational, right? Very transformative, very death card. Very energy doesn't die, it just moves into different form, right? So that can be of comfort to us, right? It's card number 6. I'm going to read her whole description here. Metamorphosis. This card reminds us that change is natural, rebirth is possible, and a healing balance can be achieved. The frog, developing as it does from a tiny tadpole, symbolizes transformation. The lotus flower, too, symbolizes rebirth, unfurling even amid murky waters. Going through such a change can be difficult, a struggle, but the resulting metamorphosis opens us to growth, self-acceptance, and happiness. Consider what in your life needs changing, and think about the steps you can take to achieve that change. You owe it to yourself to allow your own growth and rebirth. Amen. I could not agree more. What can I change in myself or my life for the better? How can I be more accepting of change that I cannot control? I just think it's beautiful. It's a beautiful, beautiful message for this time of year. Really beautiful. Now it's like, well, what in the hell is happening with the energy? Because now it's like I want to keep going. Even though I just said I can feel myself in. I'll pull one more of my cards from this little handwritten deck. One or a few more, whatever. Final messages. Final message, Spirit. I sure miss going trick-or-treating. If you're going trick-or-treating, have fun. Someday I'll be in a situation where I'm going to be out there again with kids from my life trick-or-treating. Whether that's somebody else's kids and I'm just along for the night or what, I don't know. But it's fun to be out and about on Halloween. Yeah, don't worry about your health. You don't need to solve the world's problems right now, and don't worry about being out there as an advocate all the time. It's more about observing right now and using discernment, and not about doing and acting. So I think that's going to do it for this reading. I just really want to thank you. Also, if anyone has any questions. Hi, Amber. Thank you for being here. Oh my gosh, Amber, thank you for sharing. Amber, my passed away loved one, Devin Hinkle, was my fiance. I am so sorry that you lost your fiance. I'm so sorry that you lost your fiance. Truly. I'm very sorry to hear that. And thank you for sharing, Amber. Do you want me to pull cards to see if there's any message about that loss, or are you just sharing? Because I don't want to pull cards if you don't want me to, but I'm very happy to pull cards about that loss if you'd like me to. It's totally up to you. Hi. Okay, she might have left actually. Amber might be gone now. I'm sorry that I missed your question or your sharing, Amber. I'm really honored that you shared with me. Thank you. And I'm so tempted to pull a card for you, even though you're not saying you want me to, and I'm not going to do that, just so you know. I got tempted, though, once I saw your lovely comments, but I'm not going to do that because you didn't ask for that, so I'm not going to do it. So anyways, thank you again so much for everyone that tuned in for this reading. I'm sending you all love and safety vibes. I hope you enjoy. I hope you protect your dream space, and I will see you in the next one. And thank you for liking and subscribing if you liked this reading and you like my work. I'm going to be doing a lot more lives now that I've figured out my signal problems. So, yeah, sorry, I'm going on and on here. Thank you again. Happy Halloween. I'll sing you a little song that I learned as a kid. Hooray for Halloween. Hooray for Halloween. Cats howl, meow, owls hoot, hoo, and witches fly up in the sky. Hooray for Halloween. Boo! See you next time. Be good out there.